Today we're going to talk about 27 genius ways to get back to sleep in the middle of the night. I've had literally almost every single problem with sleep over the years. But there's one thing that you need to know. The harder you try to go to sleep, the less sleepy you're going to get. Because as soon as you have to go to sleep and you put so much pressure on yourself to get to sleep, you're going to stir up cortisol. And I think for me that was one big problem because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get to sleep. And I would stress myself out, raise cortisol, and then I'm like laying there all night. When you approach sleep, you have to do so with a very, very light touch, like you're not really trying. So, I'm going to give you a lot of different techniques, starting with number 1. If your feet are cold when you are going to bed, you are going to interfere with the thermostat in your hypothalamus. Normally, when you go to sleep, the core temperature in your body, which should be 98.6, goes down to 98.5.1 degree lower. And that signals a hormone called melatonin that says, okay, time to go to sleep right now. But if your feet are cold, you're going to get mixed messages, and the temperature in the whole body won't go down, and you're going to have a harder time going to sleep. So yes, you want to keep the room cooler. You want to have less blankets in your whole body. But you want to keep your feet warm at all times when you go to sleep. Whether it's socks or a blanket on your feet. I use a blanket, but I kind of keep a sheet on the rest of my body. And that's such a simple tip. Everyone can do it, and it really will help you go to sleep. Number 2, sea salt before bed. So many people have this idea that too much salt is bad for them. And I know doctors have been telling people that for a long time. But we need a certain amount of salt. And if we don't have enough salt, specifically sodium, what's going to happen is your adrenaline hormone and cortisol is going to go up. Why? Because there's another hormone involved that is like a hidden reason why a lot of people don't sleep, and it's a hormone called aldosterone. I'm not going to get too much into that. All you need to know about aldosterone is it helps you regulate salt and water and fluid in your body. A lot of people going in the sleep, if they're low in sodium, will start having an elevated amount of aldosterone. That's going to trigger the fight or flight mechanism, sometimes between 2 and 3 in the morning, just because you didn't have enough sea salt. So I know a lot of people in the evening, they snack on chips. They're trying to get more salt, and they do sleep better because of the salt. What you need is the salt, but not the carbohydrate connected to the salt. So just try it. Just consume more salt in the evening, maybe even on your food, and watch how much better you stay asleep. It's quite interesting. I'm really excited to release this new product called omega-3 cod liver fish oil. Both fish oils and cod liver oil have the DHA and EPA. Those are the omega-3 fats. We also have to be aware of mercury. But the cod liver oil is different because we're extracting from the fats from the liver, but there's no mercury that can attach to it. So if you wanted something to support a healthy heart and a healthy brain, you might want to try this omega-3 cod liver fish oil. Number 3, nose breathing. Nose breathing restricts air into your body. And at first you might think, oh wow, I'm not going to breathe as much. I'm not going to sleep as much. But if you just take a look at someone who has anxiety or panic attacks and they're hyperventilating because they have too much oxygen. It's called the Bohr effect. When you increase more CO2, it allows oxygen to penetrate and be absorbed into your cells. When you breathe through your nose, you actually get the right balance of CO2 with oxygen to get the maximum oxygen in your cells versus breathing through your mouth. And then when I do nose breathing before bed, I do it consciously and on purpose. So I'm going to close my mouth, breathe in about 4 seconds, okay? And then I'm going to breathe out about 5 seconds, and I'm going to keep doing that, maintaining that pattern. I'll do that maybe several times, and the next thing you know, I'm waking up in the morning. It works so well because when you consciously breathe in a certain way, you're putting control also over your autonomic nervous system, but you're also allowing the oxygen to be maximized deep inside your tissues. And it's also a great way to get your mind off thinking and, thinking about problems which you don't want to do before you go to bed. All right. Number 4, adrenaline and carbohydrates. When you're on a high carbohydrated diet, what happens is you raise your blood sugars and then insulin comes around and lowers your blood sugars, and then it comes up and it comes down. Over a period of time, you are going to have low blood sugar. And that's just simply because of how the hormones are going to then become more resistant, like insulin, and then you're going to end up with lower blood sugar right around 2 in the middle of the night. Now your body can't have that, okay? It doesn't like high blood sugar. It doesn't like low blood sugar. So it's going to release a hormone to mobilize more glucose and sugar. What hormone is that? Adrenaline, actually, and cortisol. Both of them. These are stress hormones that are counter-regulatory hormones that are there to help stabilize the blood sugar and bring it up. So at the top end, pushing it down is insulin, but the bottom end, we got adrenaline and cortisol. So a lot of people who have not adapted to ketones because they're eating too many carbs have this problem sleeping at night because the blood sugar is so low. You have these other hormones kicking in there and then stabilizing the blood sugar and raising the blood sugar and releasing sugar from your liver, but it's going to wake you up. So in other words, you want to go low carb and get adapted to low carb to be able to have the stability through the whole night sleeping and keep the adrenaline low. I had this problem for many years. I had no idea what was causing it. Number 5, body scan. This is another thing that is super easy, super powerful. So you're laying in bed and you start off with your head and you just start scanning your body all the way down, relaxing it. Relaxing it. Right. I kind of scan for tension. Sometimes I'll find tension in my upper back, sometime in my chest, sometime in my abdomen. I just consciously let go of those muscles as I start from the top, working my way down through my arms, through my chest, through my midsection, through my pelvis, through my lower back, through my thighs, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. And I'm just consciously letting go of the tension. Super effective, and you should try it. It's quite interesting. That's a simple thing that everyone can do. And what you're going to realize is that there's a couple areas of your body that you hold tension. Sometimes it's in the lower back for me or my upper back, but I'm constantly holding tension there without even being aware of it until I'm conscious of it, because I kind of scan through my body and then I just let it go, and then I actually can sleep a lot better. Number 6 is eating earlier in the day. If you eat late at night, especially protein, boy, that's going to keep you, especially if you're stuffed. So ideally, if you're struggling with your sleep, it would be really wise to eat early dinner, like maybe 3 or 4, 4:30, maybe even 5, and then don't eat anything after that, okay? You will find that you will sleep better just from that minor change of eating earlier. Number 7, snacking, especially at night, is going to lead to insulin resistance, which is then going to lead to a problem with urinating through the night, where so many people have this problem, and it's such an easy thing to fix. Automatically, men will think that it's their prostate, but in reality, if they just stop snacking, especially at night, what would happen? They would find that they would urinate less through the night. And there's other things that contribute to that, especially with the aldosterone salt thing right there. And you would think if I had more salt, I'm going to have more water. I'm going to pee all night long. Actually, you're going to retain fluid all night long. If you took potassium, for example, before bed, that would not be good because that's going to make you get up and urinate. But more sodium will help you retain the fluid. But the snacking is deadly. That will keep you up at night urinating through the night, which is going to interfere with your ability to sleep. And on top of that, it increases that insulin problem. So it worsens the adrenaline. So when I talk about going on a low-carb diet, I'm also talking about giving up the snacks and doing intermittent fasting. Both of those combined are the 2 most powerful things that you can do to create health. Number 8 is something you probably already know about. You know, too much stimulants like with coffee, with caffeine or tea or chocolate can keep you awake at night, because the liver is supposed to break down this caffeine and these stimulants. But what happens if you're doing caffeine at lunch and after lunch, and your liver might not have broken down all that caffeine, and then at night you're not tired? Okay, I consume a very small cup of coffee early in the morning, and then that's it. Okay? So I don't have any more coffee, and I keep it small because I used to consume pots of coffee all day long until late at night when I used to study in college, at 12 or midnight, and I was just filled with too much caffeine. So you just want to cut out those stimulants. All right. Number 9, when you watch TV in the evening, if you do, really be selective of what movies you watch, because if the movie is too interesting or involves action or fear or adventure, that's not good before bed. So do what I do. I'll watch like a Hallmark movie, which is completely the same boring a theme over and over again. And the reason I do that is because I can go to sleep so fast, like throughout that show. It just kind of helps wind me down. Parallel with that, about 2 hours before bed, I have these blue blockers that also filter out green waves as well. So they're blue and green blockers. Both of these wavelengths can lower and suppress melatonin. And I've tried this back and forth. I'll wear those glasses for a period of time and then I won't wear them. Boy, they really work. You should try it. They block certain light that interfere with melatonin. So that way when I go to bed, I have the highest amount of melatonin possible. So then that's a kind of a sleep pressure hormone that pushes you into a nice, wonderful sleep. And so I wear those glasses. Despite how weird they look on me, I will wear them. Okay? Number 11, EMF. What is EMF? Electromagnetic fields. And so this basically comes from cell phones, your Wi-Fi, your router in your house, computers, electrical cords. Anything involving electricity is going to put off this electromagnetic field. It's kind of invisible. You can get a little device to measure it, but I actually have a device. I went in my room and I started to identify EMF waves, and I found the back wall just gave off this EMF 8T from the wall. And I found there was some wires that were crossing, creating a magnetic field that I was being bathed in every night, and I didn't know that. And so what I would recommend that you do is you don't necessarily have to buy one of those devices, but just keep your cell phone electrical devices as far away from you as possible. And also, if you have a problem going to sleep, and this might be a complication for other people in the house, but if you could shut off the circuit breaker of electricity in your room, you are going to find that you're going to sleep so good. And I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to do that, but it really makes a huge difference. Okay, number 12. Don't be watching the clock through the night. If you woke up, don't look over at the clock because then you're going to start thinking, okay? We want to not think when you're sleeping. And also turn all your notifications on your cell phone off. Put it on airplane mode so you don't get anything coming through your cell phone. Very important because what's going to happen? You're going to look at that time and now you're going to be thinking about and you're going to be analyzing it. And that's going to stimulate cortisol. Because if you think about the purpose of the mind is to solve problems because that is not going to help you rest. We want to rejuvenate. And there's a time and place for solving problems, but not in the middle of the night. So we don't want to give your mind any problems to solve. Like, oh, it's Tuesday again and I'm still not sleeping. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Etc. 13, I already mentioned this. The harder you try to go to sleep, the less you're going to go to sleep. So there's been some times in my life where I'm like, okay, I've got to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep. And then I'm laying there, I can't sleep because I'm trying too hard. So you really have to approach